put money in our pockets to feed our kids, rather than actually going out to establish something. And I think it's very important to be able to do that right from the beginning. So what I said to them is, what I want you to do is I want you to write down everything that you want to achieve in the next, if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would be the things that you would want to achieve? Okay, and that was quite scary for a lot of them, because a lot of people thought, okay, I can't even pay my bills at the moment. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, being terrified about, how am I going to pay this bill? And it's quite scary when you get to that point where you think, and then you go into fear and you really worry about it. And rather than actually focusing on what you want, you start focusing on what you don't want. And then guess what? You get more of what you don't want. So that's why vision is so important. It's a little bit like when you get into a car and you drive to Scotland, you need to have that map of how you get there. So reverse engineer where you want to be. And somebody said that to me a while back when I was looking at my business, and I was saying, I want my business, I want the turnover to be this, and I want the profit to be this. And they said to me, so why? Why do you want it to be that? And it was a real difficult question for me in my head, because I just thought, actually, I don't really know. And I think that's when you can really lose focus, and it's very easy to give up. I think when you are very clear about what you're aiming to achieve, it's much easier to actually stay focused and not get distracted by everything else. And even if you're a business owner listening to this and thinking, actually, I've been working in my salon now for 20 years and I'm really not enjoying where I'm at, why am I doing this? That's what I'm saying. It's normally then that you need to have that vision really in front of you. And you should have that vision. You should be revisiting that vision at least every quarter. I mean, I definitely do that. I go back to, okay, so why are we doing this? This is what I'm looking to achieve. Am I on the right road to be able to achieve that? And then I can adjust it depending on where we're going, what isn't working and what is working. And that's why it's very specific. So I will cut my 12 months up into 4 stages, into 4 quarters, and we will then aim for this quarter, this is what we're aiming to achieve. This quarter we're going to achieve this quarter, and that gets me very focused. And being somebody who's quite creative and quite a visionary myself, it's very very for me to become unfocused if I'm not very clear on what I'm aiming to achieve. So the first thing is to know where you want to be in 5 years time. Okay, and a really simple exercise, which is what I was teaching them yesterday, is write down what that is. So if it is having 3 holidays a year or 1 holiday a year, is it the house you're living in? What house do you want to live in, and whereabouts? Who are the people you want to be spending time with? If it's mental health or spiritual, how do you want to feel inside? So if you're somebody at the moment that's dealing with a lot of anxiety and you don't feel good about yourself, where do you want to be in 5 years time? What needs to change? And then you can break all those things down. Health wise, exactly the same. And there's a reason that I was teaching these people to do this, because we all know when you get into the hair and beauty sector, it is not a walk in the park. A lot of people have this vision that you go into a salon and all you do is drink cups of coffee and talk to people all day, but it can be very very difficult. And when you're running a business, a hair or beauty business on top of that, especially at this time where prices are going through the roof, and it is very difficult now to make that profit that we were making 5 years ago because of all the changes that we're all experiencing at the moment. And I mean, my electric bill in my training business has nearly doubled compared to what it was 5 years ago. So and the actual profits, or actually the money, what we get for the courses that we sell, hasn't relatively gone up massively, okay, because people can't afford those type of things at the moment. There's certain people that can, but certain people can't, and the government only give us so much per course, and they don't make those allowances for everything else that's going. So for me, it's very very important that I have a very clear vision of what I'm wanting to achieve and where I want to be in 5 years time, and very structured time where I sit and reflect on what I'm doing. In fact, I was listening to something the other day, and they said this guy used to take a whole day out on a Friday where he would literally just sit on his sofa, okay, and he would just you know, in a quiet place, not in front of the telly, with no distractions, no one around, and just think. And he said it was one of the most productive times that he ever had. Now, I'm not saying that I've done that, but I do find when I've gone on holiday or when I relax, that tends to be a really productive time for me, because it's when the biggest ideas or the best ideas come. But when I'm so focused in my business on the day-to-day running of it, I tend not to have those moments. That's why probably in the last 2 years, where I've literally put in a senior management team where I don't have to do the day-to-day running of everything anymore, I've become much more creative. And because of that, our sales have doubled year on, and probably will again this year by the looks of it. So for me, it's been really an important thing as having a vision. So we sat down and I said to them, right, okay, so if you want one holiday a year, what is the cost of that? So we put that aside. Okay, so if you want to buy, or you want the house to live in, and it doesn't necessarily mean buying a house, it could be renting a lovely house, what is that cost? So then they wrote that down and they times that by 12. Okay, so what is it? One of the ladies said in that group, I want to be able to do really nice things for my kids, and I don't want to have to keep saying to them, no, I can't do that. Okay, so what are those things? Write all those things down that those kids want to do, and how much of each of those things it will cost them to do that. And that's exactly what they did. So they literally wrote all of this stuff down, and then they divided it by 12, and I said, that is your money pot. Okay, that is what you want to achieve. So you need to bear in mind all your day-to-day living and all the other stuff that goes with it, but that is your money pot. Now we need to find a way to be able to make that money so that you can achieve that. And I said, and what I want you to do now is I want to write you to write your why down. Why are you doing this? So why are you here today? So they wrote why, and then they wrote the first why, the second why, and the third. And it's normally by the third why that you actually really know what it is you're doing. And most people's whys, I find, especially in my age group and a little bit older, is to spend time with family and friends, to have more time to be able to do the things that they love, okay, rather than, you know, just being literally getting up in the morning and then getting on the rat race and then going to bed at night. They don't want to do that. They want to be able to take their kids to experiences and places where, you know, they're learning something. And it doesn't always have to be, it can be material things, and there is nothing wrong with having nice material things. And I think one of the things that we're told over time, over and over again, that the root of all evil is money. We're told things like people that have money are bad. But actually, money gives you everything. You can literally, when you've got money, you can spend money on other people to treat them to things. And that's a really lovely thing to do. You can help charities. There's so many things that you can do with money once you've got it. But we end up not realising that, and then we self-sabotage what we do. And I did that for years. You know, one of my biggest worries about having money right at the beginning was actually people won't like me anymore, because my friendship group will change, because not everyone will be on the same plateau or the same income as me. Well, that hasn't happened. In fact, my real friends are still around, and it doesn't really matter whether they earn more or I earn less, or they earn less, or, you know, or I earn less. Everyone loves each other or likes each other because they like each other for who we are. So I think it's all very much like what we tell ourselves. So once you've done that, then what you need to do is actually get the pictures that or you can either do it with pictures or you can write out that story, but it has to be in the present tense. And there's questions that you want to ask yourself before you start writing that vision. So questions like, so who do I like spending time with? What do I really enjoy, love doing? What are the things that I love to do? If I had more time or more money, what would I do more often? Do you know? Where would I like to live? If I could choose where I wanted to live, where would I live? Where would I visit? Where are the places that I would visit? If it is having your own salon, or if you're just somebody at the moment working on a one-to-one basis and you want to have, you know, your own salon, where would that be? You know, what would it look like? How many people would be coming into that salon? What would you be known for? All of those things, we have to start thinking about where the end result is going to be. And, you know, one of the reasons that I taught this and I was teaching these ladies to do this, and it was predominantly ladies, actually I didn't have any men, would you believe, but it doesn't mean to say men could not be there, they can. One of the things that I realised is that, you know, things get tough in business, or tough when we start something, or when we start to retrain in something. Things can get tough and we can easily give up. It's a little bit like, you know, like how many of you have made a New Year's resolution in January and to lose weight? I mean, I think we all do that. And one of the things that we forget is that, you know, like humans are built for self-gratification very quickly, instead of delayed gratification. So I just showed them, say for instance, you've got in one hand you've got a donut, and then in the other hand you've got a size 10 figure, and you look a dream basically. When that donut comes up, which one do you pick? And so many people go for the donut because it's self-gratification quickly. You get that high, you get that sugar rush straight away. However, if we didn't take the donut and we just worked, okay, for a little bit longer and just kept ourselves focused, we would eventually get the size 10, because it's consistency is what, you know, gets us to the end goal. It's doing small things every day rather than trying to do one big thing in one big hurry, which is what a lot of people focus on, and that's why we give up. So like what will happen is in the mornings when we wake up on that January, we go, right, okay, we've stuffed ourselves over Christmas, we get on the scales, we feel really bad about ourselves. How can I tell you this? Because that's exactly what I've done. You feel so rubbish, you feel like, oh, why did I do that? Never mind, I'm going to lose. This year I'm going to lose 2 stone, and this time next year I'm going to get into that bikini. Okay, so we set all those goals, and then Monday morning comes, and it's raining outside, and we haven't got our gym stuff ready, and we're laying in bed and it's lovely and cozy. What do? We end up not getting up, saying, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And that's how a lot of people live their lives. But the problem with that is that life goes so quickly. And I mean, I'm 58 years old, and I'm always banging on about it. But I think it's because there's more urgency in what I want to achieve now, because I've got to that age where, you know, I've realised that life, it just passes you by. And if you don't keep on striving for what you want to achieve, what's the point of being here? Do you know what I mean? We all have those dreams when we're younger, and we're at school, that we want to achieve, and everyone tells us we can't do them. And by the time we leave school, we really believe that. But what's the difference between people that do and people that don't? You know, if you talk to very successful people, 9 times out of 10, okay, they have had just as difficult childhoods as everybody else. They've probably lived through lots and lots of trauma themselves. I mean, all the books that I've listened to, there's not many people that I listen to have had the dream life. We all, every single one of us, go through challenges in our life. The difference is that they have had that vision of what they want to end up with, and they keep that in front of them all the time. So that vision board is so important. It's actually sitting down and putting all those things on your board of what you want to achieve, and then when you've achieved one, then replacing it with something else of what you want to achieve next, and always having it in front of you, so that reminds you when the things get tough and you want to give up. And there will be times, whether you're building a business or starting a new job, or you're training up for the first time, where you will say to yourself, I can't do this. These type of things don't happen to me. But if you've got that vision, and it doesn't have to be visual, if you're not a visual person, I said to them, write it. So like I have one where I put, I'm sitting in my garden in 2026, and I'm looking back on the house that we have developed. That's what it's got to be, and I'm thanking and being really grateful for where I am today. And I talk about everything in very detail on my vision statement that I've written. And when I feel, and I do it, I look at it on a regular basis. I mean, if you can do it every morning when you get up, that's even better. Or look in those pictures, or have them somewhere you're literally looking at them all the time, just to remind them why you're doing what you're doing. You're less likely when things get tough to actually give up. So that's why I wanted to come on today and really talk about vision and why it's so important that we have that very clear vision of what we want to achieve. And they're just some of the things that you can do to actually determine where you're going and what you want to achieve. And once you do that, okay, it becomes a lot easier to go and do those difficult things, to do those uncomfortable things, to pick up the phone and speak to that person that you've been like worrying about asking for money if you need the money to invest that in your business, or even to the point where you want to do the course or a new client and ringing people up and doing those sales calls that we all dread, but we all have to do if we're going to build anything and we're going to be able to get new people into our businesses or even into our clientele. If we work in a salon, it works the same. You've got to still be talking to people and encouraging new people to come in, because that's how you become financially worth to the salon to keep employing you. So it doesn't matter what you're doing in life, you're gonna have to do that, and there are going to be things that you won't enjoy doing. However, if you've got your vision, it makes it a lot harder. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that today. If you have a look and you want more tips and ideas, click on the show notes and find out what T&B do. We'd love to have you on board with our training. At the moment, we're looking for salon owners who would love to actually train themselves, as in train other people within the sector and get paid for it. We're looking at rolling that all over the UK. So if there's somebody that's listening to this today and wants to know how to get started in that, click on the show notes and get in touch, and then we'll send you lots of information. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.